Katt Williams just exposed something about Diddy and Wendy Williams that will make your blood run cold. We're talking about years of torment, career sabotage, and abuse of power that drove one of the biggest voices in media into silence. Katt didn't hold back, and what he revealed about what Diddy did to Wendy Williams is darker than anyone imagined. Stay with me because this story connects decades of rumors, explains why Wendy disappeared, and proves that Diddy has been destroying people long before the recent allegations came out. Let's go back to the beginning because this story starts in the 90s when Wendy Williams was a radio host in New York. She was fearless. She would say things about celebrities that nobody else had the guts to say. She exposed secrets, called out lies, and didn't care who she made angry. Wendy built her entire career on being the person who would tell the truth no matter what. And that made her powerful, but it also made her a target. And the biggest target she ever went after was Diddy. Wendy started talking about Diddy on her radio show, and she wasn't just discussing his music or his business deals. She was talking about his personal life. She was asking questions about his sexuality. She was bringing up rumors that had been whispered about in the industry for years, but nobody had the platform or the courage to say out loud. Wendy did. She would make comments on air about Diddy's relationships with men. She would play suggestive songs. She would take calls from people who claimed to have information about Diddy's private life. And Diddy was furious. Now here's where it gets real. Diddy didn't just ignore Wendy or respond with a statement. He went to war with her. And when you're Sean Combs with all that money and power and connections, you don't fight fair. Katt Williams revealed that Diddy used every resource he had to make Wendy's life hell. He started calling radio station executives and demanding they fire her. He threatened to pull his artists from any station that employed Wendy. He used his influence with other celebrities to get them to boycott her show. He was trying to destroy her career because she dared to speak on him. But it gets so much worse. Katt said that Diddy didn't just go after Wendy professionally. He went after her personally. Diddy allegedly had people following Wendy, watching where she went, who she talked to, what she did. He was gathering information to use against her. He was looking for dirt he could leak to destroy her reputation the same way she was damaging his. This wasn't just a celebrity feud. This was harassment. This was stalking. This was a powerful man using his resources to terrorize a woman who spoke the truth about him. Wendy has talked about this period of her life before, but she never went into full detail about what she suffered. She said that things happened to her that she couldn't prove. That she felt unsafe. That she knew people were watching her. But she could never definitively say who was behind it because she didn't have evidence. Katt Williams is now saying what everyone suspected. It was Diddy. He orchestrated a campaign of intimidation against Wendy Williams that lasted for years. The pressure worked. Wendy eventually stopped talking about Diddy as much on her radio show. Not because she wanted to, but because she had to. Her bosses at the radio station told her to back off. They said Diddy's threats were affecting their business. They said other artists were refusing to come on the station because Wendy was there. They said she needed to choose between her career and her vendetta against Diddy. So Wendy toned it down. She didn't stop completely, but she wasn't as aggressive about it. And that must have killed her because Wendy Williams doesn't back down from anyone. But Diddy broke her. Katt Williams said in his recent interview that what Diddy did to Wendy was a preview of what he would do to many other people over the years. Diddy has a pattern. When someone threatens his image or his secrets, he destroys them. He uses money, power, influence, fear, whatever it takes. And he gets away with it because people are too scared to fight back. Wendy fought back for as long as she could, but eventually even she had to retreat. That's how powerful Diddy is. He silenced Wendy Williams, the woman who built a career on never being silent. But the story doesn't end there. Fast forward to when Wendy got her television show. The Wendy Williams Show became huge. Wendy was back and she was more powerful than ever. She had a national platform. Millions of viewers. Celebrity guests. Major influence. And you know what she didn't do? She didn't really go after Diddy anymore. Sure, she would mention him occasionally, but it was nothing like the old days. She never brought up the sexuality rumors. She never talked about what he did to her. She acted like they were cool. And people always wondered why. Why did Wendy Williams, who never forgave anyone, seem to forgive Diddy? Katt Williams has the answer. Wendy didn't forgive Diddy. She was still scared of him. Even with all her success and her platform, Diddy still had power over her. Katt said that Diddy made it clear to Wendy that if she ever went back to talking about him the way she used to, he would destroy her television show the same way he almost destroyed her radio career. And Wendy believed him because she'd already experienced what he was capable of. So she stayed quiet. She played nice. She invited him on her show and acted like they were friends. It was all survival. Think about how devastating that is. Wendy Williams, who made her career on fearlessly speaking truth, had to pretend to be friends with the man who terrorized her. She had to smile in his face knowing what he did to her. She had to give him positive coverage on her show because if she didn't, he would take everything away from her. That's not forgiveness. That's trauma. That's what abuse looks like when the abuser has enough power to keep you silent forever. And now look at where Wendy is. Her show is gone. Her health has deteriorated. She's dealing with serious cognitive issues. She's been in and out of treatment facilities. She's under a guardianship that controls her money and her decisions. Her family barely sees her. She's essentially disappeared from public life. And Katt Williams is suggesting that the stress of dealing with Diddy and having to suppress her truth for all those years contributed to her decline. The trauma of being silenced by someone as powerful as Diddy took a toll on Wendy that we're only now seeing the full effects of. Katt didn't just talk about what Diddy did to Wendy directly. He also talked about how Diddy made sure other people in the industry treated Wendy badly too. Diddy would tell other celebrities not to go on Wendy's show. He would spread rumors about her. He would make her a pariah in certain circles. And because Diddy was so powerful and so connected, people listened. They didn't want to be on Diddy's bad side, so they chose him over Wendy. That isolation, that professional ostracism, that was part of Diddy's strategy to break her. Wendy has dealt with a lot in her life. Addiction, divorce, health problems, financial issues. But Katt is saying that a lot of that traces back to the trauma of what Diddy put her through. When you spend years being harassed and threatened and silenced by someone with unlimited resources, it damages you. It changes you. It breaks something inside you that never fully heals. And Wendy never got justice. She never got to fully tell her story. She never got an apology. She just had to keep going and pretend everything was fine while carrying that weight. The reason Katt Williams is speaking out now is because of everything that's come out about Diddy recently. All the allegations, all the lawsuits, all the stories from other people Diddy allegedly abused and controlled. Katt is seeing a pattern and he's connecting Wendy's story to that pattern. He's saying that what happened to Wendy wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of how Diddy operates. He finds people who threaten him and he destroys them systematically and ruthlessly. Katt also revealed something that not many people knew. Wendy apparently reached out to several celebrities over the years asking them to speak up about what Diddy did to her. She wanted allies. She wanted people to corroborate her story. But nobody would do it. They were all too scared of Diddy. They didn't want to become his next target. So Wendy was left alone to deal with the consequences of speaking truth while everyone else stayed silent to protect themselves. That betrayal from the industry probably hurt as much as what Diddy did. There were rumors for years that Wendy had receipts on Diddy. That she had photos or recordings or documents that proved the things she was saying about him. Katt confirmed that Wendy did have evidence, but she was too afraid to release it. She knew that if she went nuclear on Diddy, he wouldn't just come after her career. He would come after her safety. Her family. Everything she loved. So she kept the receipts hidden and suffered in silence. And now she's not in a position to release them even if she wanted to because of her guardianship situation. The guardianship is suspicious too. Katt didn't directly say that Diddy was involved in that, but he implied that it's convenient for certain powerful people that Wendy is now legally unable to speak for herself. She can't do interviews. She can't write a book. She can't release any information. She's been effectively silenced again, but this time it's under the guise of protecting her. Katt is asking questions about who really benefits from Wendy being silenced, and the answer is everyone she has dirt on, including Diddy. Let's talk about the specific things Wendy was saying about Diddy back in the day because context matters. Wendy was talking about Diddy's sexuality at a time when hip-hop was extremely homophobic. Being outed or even rumored to be anything other than straight could end a rapper's career. So when Wendy started discussing these rumors about Diddy on air, it wasn't just gossip. It was a threat to his entire empire. Diddy had built his image on being this powerful straight ladies' man. Wendy was challenging that image with questions and rumors that he couldn't control. She would play a song and dedicate it to Diddy, implying things about his personal life. She would take calls from people claiming to have slept with him or seen him in compromising situations. She would make jokes and comments that were clearly suggesting Diddy was hiding his true sexuality. And whether those rumors were true or not, the fact that Wendy was giving them a platform was unacceptable to Diddy. He needed that conversation shut down immediately and permanently. Katt Williams pointed out that Diddy's response was so extreme because Wendy was hitting too close to the truth. If the rumors were completely baseless, Diddy could have ignored them or laughed them off. But instead he launched a full-scale war against a radio host. That level of reaction suggested that Wendy was onto something real and Diddy was desperate to keep it hidden. His aggressive response actually validated what Wendy was saying, even though he successfully got her to stop saying it. The industry knew what was happening to Wendy and did nothing. Radio executives, other hosts, celebrities, everyone knew that Diddy was coming after her and they all looked the other way. Some of them even helped Diddy by refusing to support Wendy or by adding to the pressure on her to stop. The entire entertainment industry chose protecting a powerful man over protecting a woman telling the truth. And that's exactly what's happened with all the recent Diddy allegations too. People knew for decades and said nothing because speaking up meant becoming his next victim. Wendy tried to be strategic about it. She would talk about Diddy just enough to keep it in people's minds, but not so much that he could claim she was obsessed or had a vendetta. She would mix the serious allegations with humor and gossip to make it seem less threatening. But Diddy wasn't stupid. He knew what she was doing and he never forgot it. Even years later, when Wendy had her TV show and was acting friendly toward him, Diddy never truly forgave her. He just figured out a better way to control her. Katt said that Wendy would sometimes call him and other comedians back in the day and talk about how scared she was. She knew her phone was probably tapped. She knew people were following her. She knew that Diddy had connections everywhere, including law enforcement. She felt like there was nowhere safe. And the people she thought were her friends in the industry weren't helping her. They were distancing themselves because they didn't want to be associated with someone Diddy was targeting. Wendy was isolated and terrified and still had to go on air every day and be entertaining. The psychological toll of that situation is hard to comprehend. Imagine going to work every day knowing that one of the most powerful men in your industry wants to destroy you. Knowing that he has the resources to do it. Knowing that nobody will protect you. And you have to keep smiling and being funny and doing your job like everything is normal. That's what Wendy lived with for years. And according to Katt, it never really ended. Even when it seemed like things had calmed down, Wendy was always looking over her shoulder waiting for Diddy to make his next move. There's also the financial aspect of what Diddy did to Wendy. By getting her fired or forcing her to tone down her content, he directly affected her income. By convincing other celebrities to boycott her show, he hurt her ratings and her ability to get guests, which affected her value to the station. By damaging her reputation in certain circles, he limited her career opportunities. Diddy didn't just hurt Wendy emotionally and psychologically. He hurt her financially too. And that's another form of control and abuse that people don't talk about enough. Katt Williams also brought up how Diddy used the media against Wendy. He would plant stories about her in gossip columns and tabloids. Stories about her personal life, her struggles with addiction, her relationships. He would make sure negative information about Wendy was circulating to distract from what she was saying about him. It's the same playbook he allegedly used with other people who crossed him. Discredit them. Make them look unstable or unreliable. Make people question their credibility so even when they're telling the truth nobody believes them. And it worked. There were people who stopped listening to Wendy because they thought she was just bitter or jealous or making things up for attention. Diddy's smear campaign convinced some people that Wendy was the problem, not him. That she was attacking him unfairly. That she was a hater trying to tear down a successful black man. He weaponized race and gender and respectability politics to make himself the victim and Wendy the villain. And a lot of people bought it. But Wendy kept her receipts. Katt confirmed that Wendy documented everything. Every threat, every incident, every time someone told her to back off because Diddy said so. She kept records. She saved messages. She had proof of what was happening to her. But she could never safely release that information because doing so would have escalated things to a level she couldn't survive. So all that evidence sits somewhere, maybe in storage, maybe with a lawyer, maybe lost forever now that Wendy is under guardianship. The truth exists, but it's been locked away. The parallels between what happened to Wendy and what's happening now with all the allegations against Diddy are impossible to ignore. The intimidation tactics. The use of power and money to silence people. The industry looking the other way. The victims being isolated and discredited. It's the exact same pattern. Wendy Williams was one of the first people to publicly challenge Diddy, and she paid a devastating price for it. And now, decades later, we're seeing that she wasn't making it up. She wasn't exaggerating. She was one of the first people brave enough to tell the truth about who Diddy really is. Katt Williams speaking out about this now is significant because Katt has his own history of speaking uncomfortable truths about the industry and facing consequences for it. He understands what Wendy went through because he's experienced similar things. He's been blackballed, he's been ridiculed, he's been painted as crazy for saying things that later turned out to be true. So when Katt validates Wendy's story and adds details that she couldn't or wouldn't share herself, it carries weight. He's giving voice to what Wendy can no longer say for herself. The question now is what happens with this information. Will anyone investigate what Diddy did to Wendy? Will Wendy ever be in a position to tell her full story? Will the entertainment industry finally acknowledge that they failed her? Will Diddy face any consequences for what Katt is alleging he did? Based on how these things usually go, probably not. Powerful men rarely face real accountability, especially when their alleged crimes happened years ago and the evidence is hard to access. But at minimum, Katt Williams has put it on record. He's connected the dots between Wendy's decline and Diddy's abuse. He's explained why Wendy went from being Diddy's loudest critic to seemingly being his friend. He's validated what a lot of people suspected but couldn't prove. And he's added Wendy's story to the growing list of people who Diddy allegedly destroyed for daring to challenge him. That matters even if it doesn't result in legal consequences. Wendy Williams deserves justice. She deserves to have her story told accurately. She deserves recognition for being one of the first people brave enough to speak on Diddy when everyone else was too scared. She deserves acknowledgement that what happened to her wasn't her fault and wasn't just bad luck but was the result of a calculated campaign by a powerful predator. And thanks to Katt Williams, at least now more people understand what Wendy went through and why she ended up where she is today. Diddy made Wendy Williams suffer for years and the entertainment industry let him do it. That's the truth that Katt Williams just exposed and we can never unhear it.